Stevens Company Real Estate, and also Corey Schneller. And Corey is a mobile home investor. Corey owns a number of mobile homes and parks. He doesn't own any parks yet. I'm sure he will. Um, but it's especially important for Corey to get the homes turned over, rented or sold when he has a vacancy. And the reason is because he doesn't own the park. So when he has a vacant home, that means he's paying lot rent, which is not a very um, enticing thing to have to do. And so he is very good at getting his homes leased or sold quickly when he has a vacancy. So let's start out with the first question of, why this is even a topic. I've sold a lot of parks, and it's always difficult to do a rent survey of the market area. And what I mean by a rent survey is when people are buying a park, they usually want to know, okay, what's the lot rent on some of the other parks? Is this park under market, above the market, about at the market? And I found over the years that, and looking at a lot of websites, and it doesn't matter if it's a website of a very large park owner or just somebody who owns one park, it's very rare to find the lot rent on their website. And if the lot rent does happen to be on the website, it's not clear or it's silent on who pays the utilities. So it's something, we all have homes that we want to sell or rent, but we make it really hard for the consumer to know what is the rent. And in today's market, we should all assume that the tenant is looking not just at our mobile homes, they're looking at apartments, they're looking at single-family homes. And people are pressed for time. They don't have tons of time to call back, and try to find the information. So I'd like to ask, I'm going to ask this question to Mark first, and I'm going to ask it to Corey. What do you get a lot of calls from people who, or emails or text messages from people who are trying to find out, okay, what do I have to pay? What's included in the rent? And how do you try to shortcut that so people aren't calling, which is the basic questions that could easily be available in the ad?
Sure. Yeah. Well, we do get calls as far as people wanting to know, like, is there a security deposit or what utilities, what's included in the lot rent, or what utilities do they have to pay? So those are all important questions for the tenants or the prospective tenants. So what I try to do in my ads is I always try to make sure I list what the lot rent is, that the tenant, in our case, the tenant pays for all utilities. If some of our parks where we have metered water, I'll also mention that it's metered water, so that they are just being charged for the actual water that they use. We'll also list if we have, as far as we do have a pet fee, as far as so we'll list the pet fee, so they're aware of that. Also, and also like what the security deposit is. So, and I'll usually put in as far as a security deposit of, let's say security deposit of $385 and first month's rent of $385 required before taking occupancy in case of a rental, or if it's one for sale, then of course it's the purchase price plus those two items before taking occupancy. Just try to make it clear up front that that they're going to need to have all those funds available before we allow them to move into the home. So
So Mark, that you're saying that's all in your ad, or
correct, yeah,
on your website, or just so they can see, okay, this is what's going to cost to move in, and this is what I'm going going to pay and what the landlord pays, if anything.
Correct, yep.
Okay? Okay? Corey, I'm gonna ask you the same question. How do you advertise your home so that the tenants are pretty clear on what the lot rent is and what the home payment is?
Well, we don't get quite as specific as Mark does. If I've got a lot of homes available at one time, I'll get more specific so I don't have to field the calls. But I typically will throw in the lot rent, and a lot of people get confused since I'm renting the home and don't own the park. I have to specify pretty clearly that the lot rent is separate. But that's about all I include. I don't often include the water or utilities. I kind of, it's a little bit different. I like to actually field a lot of these calls because I get into conversations and that's part of my vetting process, is just feeling the people out. Since I'm maybe not managing hundreds of properties, I'll have what I have available so I can easily, field a lot of those calls. And that's part of the job that I enjoy, is talking with people. So that's actually part of my, vetting process, if you will, for potential tenants.
So Corey, are you saying that by being more general in your ads and not breaking everything out, that gives you the chance to get the call and then talk to the tenant? While you're talking to the tenant, you're also deciding, this is the kind of a tenant that I want to give an application to. Are they going to meet your criteria?
Yeah, that's right. You kind of get a little bit how they talk, what they talk about, how they talk about it. And what I found is, at least on the Craigslist ads, I'll get people calling that haven't even read the ad when I've had that information in there, and it's been kind of frustrating.
Sure.
And a lot of people are shopping around, and if I get into too many details, they end up having more questions, and then especially if it's the first time in a mobile home, and it's just easier for me to explain it. But again, I might have a handful of properties available at the same time, so I'm not, fielding a lot of as many calls as Mark might be.
I want to ask you both, I'll start with Mark on this. What are some of the ways that you show the homes? Do you use a website? Do you use a virtual tour? Do you do flyers? Just how do you try to convey what the home looks like inside and out? We'll start with you on that, Mark.
Okay. So as far as to get that information out in front of the customers so they can look at that, we'll use pretty much as far as online, I'll use different formats. So for instance, we just, the 10 new homes that we put into our Des Moines property this past summer, on the website we have professional photographer take pictures of the inside and outside, and then put together a video for us. So that was posted on our website. So when they came, the first page of our website, when they came to that, then there was buttons there they could just click. It'd tell them about check out the video on our new homes. They click on that, it would take them right to the video and the listings of the new homes. So and we probably had about 20 pictures of the homes plus the video. So that was to get that information out and to relay that to the customers so they had a good feeling for what the homes looked like so they knew if that was going to be a good fit for them, and to get the calls and set up showings. As far as other rentals or homes that we have for sale, we'll usually, we'll post the pictures on our website along with the description. We'll also use, we've had good luck in the Des Moines market, we've had good luck with using Zillow. As far as listing the items, and you're allowed to, you can load up to 24 pictures with your ad on Zillow. Of course, that's free, so it just takes the time to get it on there and get it posted. We've had good luck with that. We also use Craigslist. Again, with Craigslist, I believe it's up to 20 or 24 pictures you can put on, attached to your ad there also. So we like to get as many pictures on there as we can. And also, like if we're advertising in the paper, of course, then we're not really using an ad. I'll usually give in the paper, I'll give because the paper is a little more, I mean, that's a little more cost sensitive because the more words you use, the more it costs, where the other items, you can use as many words as you want to describe your item, your product, and it doesn't cost you anything. But so in the paper, we'll give a good description of the property, a brief description of the property that's going to draw attention, and then direct them to our website for pictures and details on the home, so that way they can see pictures along with our contact information in case you have someone that doesn't have access to that. They still have a way of getting a hold of us, and we can provide that information for them then.
Okay. And Corey, how about you? What are your best sources of advertising your homes?
Well, I had a question for Mark. Mark, are your properties manufactured homes, or are they rentals, or actually houses?
Manufactured homes.
Mobile homes.
Mobile homes, yep. And we have we have rentals that we deal with, and then we also have homes that maybe we bought it back from the tenant if they were moving out, or got it through the courts, that we sell, also feature and sell for sale also.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm kind of still on the other end. I'm in the informal end of the spectrum. The market here in Cedar Rapids is pretty good. When I do an ad in the paper, I use some discretion as well because of the limited space, and I'll just pretty much list a single wide or double wide 3-bedroom, and then the location, and then my website and phone number and email, and I do pretty well on those. I know I get an older clientele maybe calling on those, or non-internet savvy folks. Tend to be a little bit higher quality from the paper, but not always. And I've gotten some decent cash sales from the paper. So want to have a nicer property, and I want to risk spending, $20 to $50 to $150, for a month. I'll do that. Craigslist has been our staple. That's so simple. I can do it in there. I don't like to spend a lot of time on the computer, so I can throw something up real quick, make it terse, and people just they call if they see something. We throw maybe 10 pictures up there. Pretty much they just want to see the kitchen and the bathrooms and any other amenities. Bedrooms all look the same. And actually in mobile homes, the pictures can tend to not do justice because the rooms could be small. And of course, with a couple of shots of the outside. And I'll usually on the Craigslist ad, I'll just list the things that we've done to it. Usually we're rehabbing most of our homes, so we tend to do away with mobile home trim and trim them out and put glass backsplash on the, and new countertops in and things like that. So when people walk in, they're seeing something that they're maybe not expecting. And so as a result, a lot of those pictures do a lot of selling for us. And so Craigslist has been the most. If we're just renting, we put it in the rent section. If we're doing a rent to owner or a for sale, I'll put it in the real estate for sale by owner section, since I'm not a broker. And we've done quite well with that. Other forums, we've used Facebook a little bit, and actually you get a younger crowd, and we've done okay with that. I haven't tried Zillow or Trulia or anything like that. So that may be something we'll look at. And we get a lot of, it's different for me since I own homes in parks that I don't own. I get a lot of referrals from the managers. I work hard to keep a good reputation with the parks. You know, we don't move homes. We take care of problems when they arise. And so the parks give us a lot of preference. And they are actually as good as, I get my better deals from the park actually than I do the parks anymore, the managers, than I do from Craigslist for the most part, because they find a good tenant, they'll say, hey, check out, you know, ProGood and talk to Corey. And so, you know, just good old fashioned networking and relationship building with the people you're doing business with.
And
So the kind of main things.
yeah, that's an interesting comment, because I would assume that the parks where you have your mobile homes that you sell and rent are also selling mobile homes and renting mobile homes. So, so that's an interesting comment. Now, I'm going to continue asking questions to Mark and Corey, but if you have a question or a comment, because we want this to be a forum where people can participate, just hit *6 to be unmuted and ask a question. And also wanted to let you know that tomorrow, Friday, by the end of the day, we'll have our March newsletter posted on the website, joannemstevens.com. But if you do want to receive the newsletter by email or by mail, regular mail, just let me know. Just send me an email, joannestevens@ivarealty.com, or call 319-378-6786. Again, 319-378-6786, and we'll be glad to mail or email the newsletter. There's also articles on the website that may be helpful to you, and this call is being recorded, so you can listen to it afterwards. So please do call in, feel free to call in or email a question, joannestevens@iowarealty.com. One thing I would recommend too, if you want to get an idea of really a good way to do pictures or do a virtual tour. We're not, you know, real estate agents selling $1 million listings, but just as a point of reference, try Googling some of the top real estate agents in your market and just see the kind of thing that they do to provide lots and lots of information and really nice virtual tours of their homes that they have available for sale and sometimes for rent. One of the things I wanted to mention too, in terms of just spelling things out, is that I have found over the years, and I'd like you to comment on this, Mark, and you, Corey, also, that I've learned not to assume that a buyer or a tenant can do the math. In other words, if the lot rent is $300 and the home payment is $300 and the you know, anticipated utilities, or they have to get insurance on the home, that even if you tell them, well, the last utility bills, you know, from the tenants, we think were $60 a month or whatever the case may be, that they can do the math or the security deposit. That it's always better if you can do either a handout or just you know, on the site, just spell that out for them. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's always a good double check. A lot of times, and I just wanted to just from the last section, Corey made a good comment too, which in the ads as far as phone number and email both, because there's if you can provide two ways for them to contact you, I think you'll get better success, because not everyone is always comfortable on the phone calling. Sometimes they're more comfortable just sending you an email. So that's what I found anyway, just, you know, having both those options available, I think you'll get more responses that way.
I get more text now than anything, which is interesting. I prefer phone calls, but I get more text now.
Yep, it's just kind of the way, of the world, the way things are now. So you want to make sure you're in a position where you're able to get those responses from those people that you're reaching. And going back to that, whether it's a text or whether it's an email, like Joanne was saying, I will usually, because maybe we haven't gone into like a really chance to talk to them yet, but I'll always ask them if I can just, when I respond back to them, I'll think of responding to our ad, and then I'll say, I'll just put out right in there, can I ask you a couple basic background questions? And I just have 4 go-to questions that kind of help determine. First is where do you currently work? Secondly, how long have you worked there? The next one is what's your average monthly household income? And then the last one, what's your current monthly rent, and do you pay utilities? So sometimes I won't get responses back from that, and that probably means it's somebody that wasn't that interested, so that kind of helps eliminate that. Secondly, the people that do respond to those, I know they're interested, and it gives me a little more information, just like Joanne was saying, is this person in the right, at least in the ballpark as far as being a good tenant for able to afford the monthly rent and the expenses? Because that a good indicator of that is what they're currently paying for rent now. Because if it's, we found with those new homes, I'd have some people, what their current rent was and what their new rent was going to be could have been like $300-400 difference. And not that eliminates the person, but that gives you some ideas of what you want to talk to the person about when you do call them back from from a text or an email, because that would be a good question for the owner. Is if someone's currently paying $600 a month now, and now it's going to be $870 a month, how do they plan to? I mean, just by talking to them, you can find out kind of if that's going to be an option or not.
So I think, Mark, what you're saying is you're finding that some tenants actually self-select if they know what the rent is, what they're going to be expected to pay, what the security deposit is. They can tell, okay, do I have that amount, or can I afford that? Not everybody.
Not everybody, but it will help. It will help on some of those that if they realize that's not within their parameters, and then it's saving time for both parties. But also by those responses, you're getting some insight as far as what their situation is, so you better prepared to ask questions when you do talk to them.
Mm-hmm. And Kristen, do we have any questions that have been emailed in?
We have. Let me look and see what we've already answered.
And while she's looking, I'm just going to...
one here I have from Jane out in Colorado. She has a habit, she reports to us, that she gets a call from somebody who sounds like a potential tenant, but she really, really wants to sell the home. So she always tells them that she's selling the home and is not interested in a rental. Should she start considering doing more rentals? If so, what's the best way to write the ad? Which I think we've already covered kind of the better ways to write the ad. But should you, summing up her question, as an owner or as a property owner, if someone calls up on a property you're trying to sell, consider renting it?
Well, that's a very individual question. I think maybe the question might be is that 2 ads or 1 ad? And maybe we, certainly there are many, many more park owners that are renting homes than, as well as selling homes. So I'm gonna start with you, Corey. Do you, make 2 ads when you have a home that you are fine with either renting or selling?
On Craigslist, I'll put 2 ads in. I'll do the rental and keep it separate. I actually lost an account because somebody kept flagging my ads because I would be putting my rent for sale, rent, and rent to own in the same ads, and they flagged it enough that Craigslist took away my account, which was really surprising. So you kind of need to make sure to abide by the rules of Craigslist.
Okay.
And just a second here.
And,
Let me finish up on that. I'm sorry, I got distracted there. But on what I do in the newspapers, as well as is I put for sale, rent, or rent to own. If they really want to sell, and their rent to own would be the next best thing. You know, just charge a decent down payment, 20% or something. Make sure the payments within like a rental of a 2 or 3 bedroom apartment total, including lot rent, and you know, then somebody's got skin in the game for the park. They feel ownership. They start taking on a lot of the maintenance, whereas if rental, they're not buying the home. So then you're responsible for all of that. And if you eventually want to get rid of the home, that would be, you know, this would be a good way. And then you maybe give them a certain percentage of rent credit that you feel comfortable with, maybe 100%, maybe 50, somewhere in between there, that each month that much goes towards the principal. And you actually can get more for the home that way. And I found that to be my most successful program, because most people seem to want to buy and they don't have the cash.
okay. And Mark, you know, in your view, are there benefits to renting, or is it better to just focus on selling the homes?
Well, I mean, we have, in our properties, we have some homes that we have invested a pretty good amount of, as far as in refurbishing fees. So in those homes, most likely we're going to start out renting those for a while to try to, you know, have a little better chance to get back some of those the money that's been invested in that home. But down the road, I mean, we always, whenever that question comes up, well, down the road, could I buy the home? And we've always said, yeah, I mean, when you're comfortable or when you're ready for that, talk to us, and we can shoot you a price of what it would cost to buy that particular home. Because, you know, I don't think you ever want to put that. I mean, ultimately the goal as a park owner is for a lot of people is not to own any of those homes, as far as having to take care of the maintenance and all the other things that go along with that. So, but there are definitely opportunities where, like the instance I gave for renting works out fine, and we've had several homes this year that we've rented. You know, we've had them as rentals for several years, but then the right person came along that was interested in buying those, and then we're able to sell those homes. So, so that's, like I said, I think that's probably all for most park owners. That's usually the goal, is to avoid having rentals if possible. But it does open up opportunities for tenants that don't have the cash to buy a home, and you're still able to, you know, to have your home occupied, and then based off the rental price our rental price always we always state as including the lot rent. So that way you're still getting your lot rent, and then you still have the option to, as far as what you're collecting on the rent, and then those will usually get reviewed on a yearly basis as far as if we're going to be raising the rental price or not too. So you also have that income potential of being able to gradually raise the the rental price of that home each year too. So that's another good way to recoup some of those expenses you put into that home.
Yeah, I'd like to add something to that if I could. What I've found as we've been looking to purchase some smaller parks is the majority of the smaller parks seem, I'm talking maybe 30, 40, 30, 20, even 10 home or 10 space parks. Most of them were built by moms and pops that, wanted to double their income and found that renting could do that without increasing the administration and overhead costs, except for a little maintenance if they had decent homes. And so, a 10 space park could now perform almost as well as a 20 space park. And they probably didn't own a ton of parks. And so they could kind of watch over those. And what I'm finding is there's quite a few parks like that, and remote investors or absent investors don't like those because it's a bigger liability. But I just to mention that I find quite a few, and that's what I have to do. I do own one small park and looking at some others, and I'm interested in smaller parks with rentals just for that reason, because it can make it worthwhile. Because on a smaller park, you can't really afford to hire a manager until you get above a certain number of lots and things like that. So the rentals, a little bit more liability, but I'm a rehabber and that's what we do, and we rent. So I'm very familiar with that. And so I actually prefer them at this point until I start buying some $1 million parks.
No, I think that's an excellent comment, Corey, that it's all about being prepared to deal with whatever the challenges are. I mean, there's no perfect mobile home parks, just like there's no perfect people, and to recognize where, as an investor, whether it's of the homes, of the parks, or we are in the cycle, getting geared up to invest and own and refurb and rehab, or just kind of the maintenance, where you're just trying to just coast and just not do so much, and then the other side of it where you're trying to divest of your assets and take life a little easier. I want to check in with Kristen. We're getting towards the end of the call. Kristen, were there any other emails, questions?
We do have some other questions, but I think we will save those for maybe next week or a future episode. Please, anyone who is listening to the call live or listening to us later on YouTube, please feel free to email your questions to joannestevens@iowarealty.com. We definitely love to get those questions. It helps us organize the show and give you the information you need. I think Joanne has a few date reminders and announcements, and then we will go ahead and end the call.
Okay, well, I want to thank everybody who listened to the call. I want to thank Mark Borchardt for being our guest, and also Corey Schneller, and really appreciate all of the comments and fresh ideas that you gave us. Also want to remind our readers that on December 11th and 12th, we're going to have a symposium here in Cedar Rapids at the Hilton Hotel that is for park owners. And the purpose of the symposium is to give information about capital gains taxes when you sell, partnership agreements, and also we'll have a workshop on what is your park worth. So it'll be a jam-packed agenda. So please, more information will be coming. So please keep those dates in mind, December 11th and 12th. And we'll end today's show, and we'll be back next week at Thursday at 1 p.m. Central Time. Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.